See a putty tat.
Meow.
Are we
Meow.
live? Usually that thing pops out. Are we live? Okay.
Said we
Hello,
are.
everybody. Full Access Friday. Thank you all for joining me. We've got a special guest today, Evan Sayet. If you don't know who Evan is, you're going to definitely enjoy this hour. Evan, well, let's see. You've done a lot of different things. He used to be on the left. I have to say that only because of
Yeah, why do you say that?
Well, because of your experience.
All right.
He was a writer for Arsenio Hall. He was a writer for Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher. And then eventually he, after 9/11, as many did, realized that the left were the bad guys, and he moved over to our side. And he's an author, he's a stand-up comedian, he's a philosopher, he's a man of all different types of things.
Speechwriter.
Speechwriter, that's right. You know the Al Smith dinners that President Trump went viral for, attacking Hillary Clinton and attacking Kamala Harris? This is the guy that wrote those jokes right here. So, Evan, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Evan.
Hello.
Anything you want to ask? I mean, we came from America Fest, so basically we got here about 15 minutes ago. I know that they're working on this, continuing resolution, and I know that it went from 1,500 pages down to like 144 pages, and now it's supposed to go to the Senate. But I would tell people, because I know they're going to try to shove this thing through, I will say this, it's a hell of a lot better than it could have been, but it's still not perfect. There's still pay raises for Congress in there.
Very woke language. Woke language. Like now they're going, they must say, they can't say homeless. It's people experiencing homelessness.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. So maybe it'll die in the Senate. Hopefully they're gonna.
Except they have the Senate. They have the Senate until January.
And pass the House. Yeah. So I don't know. It's not as bad as it would have been. Thankfully, Elon and Vivek and many others, made a fuss about it, but it's still not the greatest thing in the world. But I mean, I don't know. What do you think? You think it's going to really be a detriment to?
It's really hard for me to understand how, given the political climate, given how the people just spoke, made it very clear that what had been can no longer continue to be. And yet, first the 1,500 pages, the audacity of putting that out in the first place, and the failure to not shoot it down until there was outrage. Exactly. But the idea is they actually put it forward with 1,500 pages of all kinds of pork, all kinds of woke. Now is the law, at least within Congress. They have to say these words, whenever they put out a report. The fact that they didn't seem to learn their lesson is quite A, surprising, and B, disturbing.
Yeah, it truly is. So I hate to start with on that note, but the reality is that this bill is nothing that we should have. I mean, we should have had them shut down the government until January 20th and then restart the government with President Trump. But I don't know. I think this means that Big Johnson is going to be Little Johnson and out the door. So I think they're going to get rid of him.
That's a clever, dirty joke.
You like that one?
Yeah, you did. You did good.
Good. So, all right, let's just kind of freestyle it tonight. So America Fest was good. It was fun. Interviewed quite a few people, including this gentleman over here. He came out from Vegas. He's staying with me for the next few days, and we've been having a good time. It's been fun. And whoops, someone just joined us, I think. I thought I heard someone popped in on us. And so America Fest was fun. Hopefully we'll get, there's Walter. Hopefully we'll get some, we'll get some good content from it. And I'm going back tomorrow. And probably Sunday, we'll have to see. Somebody texting me. Let's see here.
Are you guys following AmFest at all? Are you streaming it at all?
I'm not.
Not this year.
No, I have not.
It's funny. Neither one of us, because we've been to so many of these kinds of things. Whether it was CPAC, whether it was David Horowitz's Restoration Weekend, whether it was any number of these. I don't even go in to see the speakers anymore because I saw them last week or last month or whatever. And I used to have an expression when I would go to David Horowitz's Restoration Weekend, and it was very Islam oriented because that's what David's organization is. And I'd say, I'm just jihaded out. I don't need to know the last atrocity they committed. I know we're good, they're bad, let's fight. I don't know how much more I need to know.
There you go. There you go. So anyway, so yeah, it was a decent time. We're gonna go back tomorrow. So tomorrow, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get to doing a show. I'll try, but I'm not 100% sure. If I don't, I'll just throw up, a best of or something. But
do you have a best of?
Oh, I've got a lot of best
least.
of.
He's gonna put up a least worst of.
Least worst of. Oh man. So let's just kind of just free fall it here. Jason, I'm going to start with you. I know that you weren't first in line, and I apologize to the others that were. You're in New Jersey, right? You're in our old stomping grounds where I'm from. What's going on with these drones? Are you seeing the drones yourself too?
I have not since November 8th. Like I said, I was outside my fiance Jill's house. It was about 10:30 at night. I'm looking at the stars because they're looking like really cool and the design of it. So I'm taking pictures. I'm just so upset that I didn't have it on video, because as I'm taking pictures, and it happened so fast, this big, I mean, I thought it was a UFO. I mean, it was really tremendous. It was huge.
How big can you compare it to something, just so we can know?
Well, let's put it this way. So if you ever watch Close Encounters of the Third Kind, not the main one that comes in and lands and all the little aliens get out, but the ones before that, it was like a humongous, looked like a flying saucer, but it actually came over my head in the middle of the parking lot. And I saw a green light. It was green, and it stood there for about three seconds, and it took off like a shot, like the speed of light. I mean, it was wild. And I was like, wow. I'm not going to say it. I said, no one's going to believe me. No one is going to believe me. But they also spotted in Edison, which is about 10 minutes away. So this is before all the drone craze. But I was like, wow, I really thought it was a UFO.
And that was back in November.
November 8th.
Damn. Has anybody else seen any drones personally themselves in the skies?
Not of anybody I know personally.
Anybody else here tonight?
No.
No, nobody else? Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've told you what I think it is. I think it's definitely adversarial. I do. I think it's either Iranian or Chinese. And
when one of the theories that I've heard, and I don't think this is new to me, that there was some radioactive materials that was lost, and they were using these drones to try to find a signature. And I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. And who broke that story is Wayne Allen Root.
Yeah, I was just on his show the other day. The thing is, though, is that if that was the case, then why the secrecy? Why are they?
Because you don't want people to know that a dirty bomb might be loose around town.
That's a possibility.
You don't want the panic. Yeah. I mean, I obviously have no inside information, but that certainly makes sense. And when they keep saying we don't know what it is, but don't worry, it's not dangerous. That's a contradiction in terms. If they don't know what it is, how can they be reassuring to us?
Yeah, exactly.
So clearly they know, and Trump said that they know. Right. And this is a man who had been commander in chief. This is a man who knows,
right?
What the intelligence says.
They know what it is. But they're not telling us.
Well, why wouldn't they tell us unless it was something that's
what I've been saying
would terrify us?
Exactly. So let's go around and let's ask everybody. So, Bob, what do you think is going on here in the skies? Is this adversarial? Is this our military doing training exercises? What's your take on it, buddy?
I was thinking about it earlier. Somebody asked me about it, and I thought, I talked with you about, China, Iran, the government. I mean, what if the government is trying to test the citizens to see how they would react to this type of technology buzzing our privacy and over the coast of, the East Coast. And it's like, I think it could be, I mean, I just have a feeling it's kind of like let's do it and see what the public says,
Okay, almost like a dry run.
Yeah, kind of like that, because Biden's probably going, no, we'll let the Chinese in because they'll come in unobstructed because they're so used to seeing the drones. What's to stop us now?
Well, certainly people were posting. I'm sorry, Robert. People were making that same argument about COVID being a dry run for the opportunity just to see how far they can push us. How far that we would follow direction without reason. So your argument is almost a continuation of that prior argument.
Why just the East Coast?
Yeah. Why just on the East Coast? Although some people have said that they've seen them over San Diego.
Right.
The gal I was interviewing
Camp Pendleton. Was under surveillance, according to the reports.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Glenn? What are your thoughts on these things?
I'm thinking that it possibly could be China and Iran, like you were saying. I believe the government knows what they are and why they're there. And if it is them, why, what's the gentleman's name next to you? Because I'm bad with names. Evan, like he was saying, if they're keeping it from us, there's something going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I made a comment on the video from today about, you saying shooting them down. But where they're at, it's so heavily populated, you're going to have a lot of fallout from that. So, and then I seen a video. I don't know if I shared it with you or not. There's some idiot out there with an AR-15.
Yeah, I saw that video. He's just randomly shooting, this gun in the air. Think about where those bullets are.
Yeah, that's not a good idea, because what goes up has to come down.
Exactly.
As far as the government shooting them down, they're not always hovering over. They have to go someplace to land, and they have to come from someplace in order to arrive. They didn't just start right there hovering. And so I don't know why we couldn't follow it to a less populated area and shoot it down over there.
Shoot it down, yeah.
And then
what they did with the balloon.
The guns that they use, the ammo that they use in the machine guns on the fighter jets, that's 20 millimeter or bigger. That's a pretty good sized projectile to be launching out and not hitting something. And then, letting that, just like the guy shooting the AR up in the air, that's 10 times bigger.
Gotcha.
You want to be careful what you do with them. So
here's what I want to know. Given the seriousness of this conversation, the potential threat, how come only two of us are drinking?
Carol is drinking.
Right, Carol and me.
Carol's drinking, and you're having scotch.
And I'm drinking scotch.
Okay.
I got my Canadian
whiskey.
There you
go. Okay, there we go.
I got a month.
He's drinking. Carl, what about you, buddy? The man of many words. What are your thoughts here? China, Iran, our military, what?
All three? I don't know. I wonder about if those things can go zoom real quick. It's got to be if it disappears like a speed of light. It can't be Iran or anybody. It'd have to be aliens if they zoom away so faster than what you'd think.
It was quick. That's all I can
But
say.
here's my question is, if you were an alien and you were traveling X number of light years to get here, would you really make Jersey your destination?
Sorry about that, Jay. He is a stand-up comedian after all.
That's okay. I understand. Yeah. I can take it. That's a good joke.
Well, you know my famous Jersey joke, right? Kiss her where it smells, take her to New Jersey. Never mind.
That's right.
That was a little dirty. I agree.
That's two now. You had a Johnson joke earlier, now a cunnilingus joke. Really?
Cunnilingus joke.
Wow.
I'm out of control.
Seriously, I don't even know why I'm friends with you.
Carol and your beautiful cats.
Yes,
okay. What are your thoughts here, Carol?
I think it's probably China and Iran or our current administration. They're going to pull something on us. I don't know. But my one concern is it doesn't seem like a lot of Americans really are concerned that there's mysterious stuff. It's like everybody's going on Christmas and shopping and doing that. Not a lot of people seem too concerned. I don't know what's about to happen, but I'm worried a lot of people are about to be majorly caught off guard. I'm not sure. And I want
That's
to
what I'm
say,
worried about.
and yeah, so a lot of people don't seem so worried about it, but I also want to just tell everybody we was on vacation last week and we were in Silver Dollar City in line to get Silver Dollar City, and we were in line with Mike Huckabee and his wife. And
Oh,
he's so cool. So I just want to tell everybody that he's very awesome. So
well, you're in Arkansas, and he was obviously there as well.
yes.
So what about Sarah? You didn't see Sarah, did you?
Mm-mm.
What do you think? What do you think of Governor Sarah? Is she doing a good job?
She's doing a really good job. She's done a really good job. She's, you know,
Yeah,
she did a lot
I'm
of
really
flags.
glad her dad is the ambassador to Israel. I
Yeah.
think that's a spectacular choice.
I do too.
Yes,
Absolutely.
they said they've got to. He said he's still got to get through the Senate, but
Of course.
they know the House. He said they know the House they're going to stay in. That it's kind of being fixed up, but they already know where they're going to live in Jerusalem.
Wow.
I'm so
Does,
jealous.
does he
he's
know
excited.
he's probably moving into a Jewish neighborhood?
Well, he says. I mean, he knows. What do you mean?
In Israel, it was a joke.
It's a joke.
It was a joke.
Oh, okay.
That's
There's
right.
That's okay,
Armenians there.
You're drinking,
There's
so you have an
Christians
excuse.
there.
Right.
So you're good.
Yeah.
So
okay.
what about you, Pam and Jeff? What are your thoughts here? You guys are in California. Are you seeing any drones or what?
Well, Governor Murphy says don't worry about it.
Well, obviously we're going to take him at his word, right?
Yeah, he's the governor of New Jersey. He must know something, right?
Yeah. Have you seen
he
anything
said
or
don't-
no?
He says don't worry about it. I was looking on Monkey Works. You know what Monkey Works is, I guess. And he just is kind of quoting this story from New Jersey. There was 49 sightings in one night, but some of those were aircraft and some were multiple sightings of the same object. So I don't know. I wish I knew, but it's obviously something bad, I think.
What about you, Liam? We'll get to you here in a second, Walter and Gail, but what are your thoughts, Liam?
Pretty much the same thing I said last week. It's just I don't trust what the government says, and I believe this can't be a good thing. I mean,
I'm going to hand this kid over the entire fortune of the Josh Bernstein show at some point in the future. He's my protege. He's a good kid. Walter, what about you? What are your thoughts? You're the lawyer. What do you think's going on here?
It's definitely China with the absolute blessing, permission, and opening of the door to America from the current administration as a final middle finger to the United States population. And China welcomes the opportunity to surveil our country. I did hear one gentleman who is familiar with drones say that at the height that the drones are flying, it appears that they're, quote, sniffing for something. And he said that in his field, they pretty often use drones to detect radiation, gas leaks, that kind of thing. So he thinks that, and I agree with him, he thinks that the drones are there searching for something.
Right, which is the theory that I put forth earlier, and that Wayne talked about, was that radioactive materials have gone missing, the kind that could be used to make a small bomb, a dirty bomb, and that's what they're sniffing for. It certainly makes sense. Given the height, given the focus on one particular area, as opposed to being spread out across the country. So that seems very plausible that it's sniffing for missing radioactive material.
But the rumor that I heard that you're talking about, at least, they were saying that it's the U.S. government because they've lost this radioactive material.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I believe. I
think it's a foreign country. I think they're trying.
I get that. Look, we had the balloons, and we know, it was lesser technology, but the same concept.
Absolutely.
But the balloons were impossible to take down, just like the drones.
Yeah, well, eventually we did, right? Over South Carolina, I think.
Actually, I think they first used them in the Macy's parade, and then we took them down.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, so when
Gail,
do y'all think we're
what-
gonna find out? When is
Yeah,
anybody?
we're not. That's the thing. And that's why I'm so worried about the inauguration. Because what if they're doing recon right now? What if this
Yeah.
is the dry run?
Well, Wayne Allen Root didn't seem too concerned about that.
Huh?
Wayne
Governor
Allen Root
Murphy.
didn't seem too
I know.
concerned about
And
it.
he's going to be there. He's
That's
going to be
what-
there. And I told him, I said, hey, man, I know you're going to be there. They could wipe out the entire cabinet. I was talking to people today, doing spot interviews. And,
And you know what that means? That means Kiefer Sutherland becomes president. So
what's it called? Last Survivor?
no, designated survivor.
Designated Survivor.
I'm sure he's a liberal, so no.
Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So, Gail, what are your thoughts here on this? What do you think's going on in the skies? Something to be worried about?
Oh, I don't know. There was one report that the radiation levels were a little high over New Jersey. I don't know how plausible that is. I don't know. My daughter gave me a number. It sounded more like background radiation to me, but maybe not. I would still hold the inauguration indoors. I still would take a lot of precautions because if they're not going to tell us, there's some bad reason why.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, here's the thing too, Josh. They were surveilling, Trump National Golf Course in Bedminster and close by the military base. So if it's our government, why would they need to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
it's our government, why would they need to do that?
Right.
At their own military base.
Right. Yeah, that's why I'm saying I don't understand why people are not raising these red flags and saying, hey, are you paying attention? What are you, why aren't you doing anything about this? Number one, they're not doing anything about it. They're not giving him briefings. They're not telling him anything. He's not getting, any information, but yet he's still going to do this outdoor inauguration with his entire cabinet is going to be there. I mean, if God forbid this is a strike, MAGA's gone. The whole cabinet is gone. Not that the MAGA movement's gone, but I'm just saying all the leadership, the entire cabinet will probably be wiped out.
Right, Vivek.
They're all going to be there. They're all going to be there.
But the good news is my ex-girlfriend's going to be there too. So it's kind of a trade-off for me.
It's a trade-off for you.
Overall.
Yeah.
Maybe it is a foreign country and they're looking for that dirty bomb. They were monitoring where it is right now. I don't know. They know who has it. They're monitoring it.
Mm-hmm.
Your ex-girlfriend isn't Whoopi Goldberg, is it?
No, although I get the Goldberg, the last name, should be approved by the family, but no.
She made that up. She made that up.
Oh, man. So, all right. We talked about the drones and everything else. What else does anybody else have on their minds that they want to ask questions or what have you?
So this is how you do your shows. You just sit here and you let them do all the work.
Only on Friday nights.
You have no question. All right, only on Friday nights. The rest of the time you're.
Sometimes I have a bunch of topics we're going to cover, but we were running late. What do you want from me?
You're actually kind of.
Huh? We're winging it.
You're a lazy host.
I'm a lazy.
Yeah, I'm just saying you're a lazy host. You're making them do all the work.
They are. They love to do the work.
Josh and I go back a long way. Don't worry about it. Sorry. Go.
No, you're good. You're good. So let's see. Well, Carol's drinking. She could come up with something interesting, but anybody else who wants to?
I'm just curious what's in that bill as far as checking the email.
What's in that compromise bill?
That's what we were trying to figure out. The computer's over there. I can't really reach it, but that's all right.
You know what? You do it. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. We only need one, right?
Yeah, you're doing a good job.
All right.
Well, I read something
You
yesterday.
haven't talked about my book yet, so I'm going to leave the room. To be a boss. I'll be back.
We got to talk about his book at some point too. Interesting book too. The title of his book is Magic Soup, Typing Monkeys, and Horny Aliens from Outer Space. The patently absurd, wholly unsubstantiated, and extravagantly failed atheist origin myth. That's the name of his book. Okay, it's pretty insane.
I hate to ask.
Carol has a question. Okay, Carol, go ahead.
Is it true? I've been extremely busy and been out of town. Is it true the Biden administration is selling off Trump's wall for pennies on the dollar?
Oh yeah.
Yes, it is, sadly.
So
Now, I believe he has not only put out a public statement about it, but I think he's trying to file a lawsuit, an emergency lawsuit, to get them to stop doing it. Because the sad reality is that if they do that, we have to buy it back. So maybe there's going to be someone on the right that buys the rest of it and saves it for him. I've heard that there's someone that is trying to negotiate that. But the problem is that they don't want the wall, right? And they have control over who can buy it. So this horrible administration on the way out is just, they're just doing anything they can to piss us off, number one, and to do whatever they can, number two, to make his term coming in that much harder. So it's really just ridiculous.
I think
Liam's got his hand up. What's up, Liam?
Oh, you were just saying, telling us to speak our minds on topics, and something that got me fired up yesterday was the Trump and Chip Roy fight. I don't know if you read that on the Gateway Pundit yesterday, but I just moved into Chip Roy's district last Saturday, so obviously I support him. But it's like in my opinion, Chip Roy is going against the establishment as well as everyone else who's voting against this bill. I mean, yeah, Trump supported it because he has to, but it's like we're going into more debt, and I just don't like the idea of that. And I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think anybody likes the fact that this administration, this lame duck administration, without even a legitimate president, we don't know who's running anything, and they're trying to pass legislation at the last minute, and it's just insane. I don't see why we can't just let the government shut down till January 20th, and those people are all going to be gone. They're not going to want to work for Trump. They're not going to be able to work for Trump's administration. He's going to fire them anyway. So why not just close it down? Why do we remember what I said in the book? The government never shuts down. Okay. It's a myth. Certain things shut down, this and that. But you know what? These workers in the administrative state, secretly, they love shutdowns. You know why? Not only do they get time off, but then they get back pay. They get reimbursed. It's ridiculous. There's no such thing as a, quote, government shutdown. It never shuts down. So I'm trying to get details on what's in this thing. I don't know. I'm not seeing a lot of stuff here. Let me see.
I hope those checking the emails is not in there, as far as not being allowed to check the Congress's emails.
I hope they don't have mandatory vax or spying on us in there.
That I haven't heard of. No,
it was in there, the original one.
It was right.
The original one. Oh yeah.
And the stadium for the Redskins, I think got put into the House bill that they just passed.
You know, Josh, what's so ridiculous about that is the soccer teams in Europe that have stadiums the same size as those in America for NFL games. The government never has and never will pay for those. Every single team pays for their own stadium. I don't understand why all these teams in the NFL keep getting billions of dollars for stadiums. Yeah. They have enough money to pay for it themselves.
I think the fans should get up there and strike or do something.
Yeah, and they gave themselves a raise too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
For everyone's suffering, they're giving themselves a raise.
Yeah, exactly. The only positive thing I can say is that the first bill was 1,547 pages, and this one is 118. So that's a drastic amount of pages less.
They could have done 2 pages.
But still 118 pages, you could shove a lot of shit in there.
I know.
I don't know. It's really crazy, but.
Well, you know what? There's some airports that hired private security, and people are saying they're nicer, faster, and more thorough.
Right.
The people that are, and also people were picking up the garbage in the national parks. They were taking care of it themselves.
Right.
The people that live there. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need all these government workers, and I really do hope that he fires a lot of these people.
Well,
so I know they did that parachute 5 years, you're allowed to work from home and all that, but he already said that Pam Bondi is going to fight that in court so that they can be fired. I don't know. We were just talking just about the shit in the bill, basically.
If it was on
the shit in the bill.
Yeah, the
If
shipping
it
bill.
was,
I think that was the New York Post headline.
I think it was too. You just have a cigarette?
I did.
I can smell it.
No, actually, I don't think so. I think he's
I don't
about
know
to
who this
my
gentleman
pocket, so I don't
is.
leave it out back.
Well, you like I said, you can put it in a little dish or whatever. You
Mhm.
don't have to, you know.
I've been using the pool.
No, you're definitely not using the swimming pool.
That gets a laugh.
That'll get you in
That
trouble.
finally gets a laugh from her.
You'll be sleeping with the 4 dogs in the fucking dog beds. Okay. But
if it was on my conscience and and what I would do with the government shutdown, this sucker would be closed down for the next 2 fucking years.
Exactly.
Suckers.
Well, what I love about it is the term unessential employee. Well, if you're unessential, then we don't need you.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
But we should only have essential government employees. Otherwise, it should fall to the people.
How many mentally ill bastards did that fucking Biden put in the IRS that do absolutely nothing?
Well, what did they fund? 90,000 agents or something?
I think it was several 100,000.
No, it was 187,000.
Okay, that's almost a couple of 100,000.
And then
a
all
lot.
the guns and bullets and shit like that they bought. What for?
Right. Why does Homeland Security have anti-ballistic tank missiles?
Why is the IRS?
Yeah, and the IRS are walking around, with big guns and all this other crazy stuff.
I mean, it's just such ridiculous spending shit. Shut the place down for a couple of years and get it straightened out.
Exactly.
It's funny. Many years ago, they held the Olympics in Los Angeles, and they were threatening that it would just, given how there's already gridlock, how having the Olympics there was just going to make it god awful. And instead, it was the easiest time ever because everybody who could left town. If we can just shut down the government and everybody leaves town, we're actually going to have a better government than we have now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Government is better closed than it is open, obviously, especially with these
remember when we had a strike one time in California of Mexican of workers. That
right, a day without Mexicans.
Yeah, and it was wonderful and driving. And
it wasn't
those taco stands.
Right. I mean, but there was no traffic. There was no. It was actually the easiest day in the history of Los Angeles because I lived there for 35 years, so I know it well.
And everybody had hubcaps. So. So, all right, you want to introduce this interesting book? I already read the title to them.
Okay.
Okay.
In addition to being a stand-up comic, in about 2007, I gave a lecture to the Heritage Foundation that Andrew Breitbart called one of the 5 most important conservative speeches ever given. It remains all these years later the single most viewed lecture in Heritage Foundation's history. So I'm a pretty serious writer, and what that talk was about was explaining why so many good, smart, decent, loving, caring, generous people, all right, our friends, our neighbors, our colleagues, sometimes our family members, I'm talking about Democrats, will ignore fact and reason and invariably side with evil over good, wrong over right, ugly over beautiful, profane over profound, and failure over success. And this talk became such a phenomenon that when it was going viral, and this is a 47-minute talk to the Heritage Foundation. It's not me doing stand-up. It was not entertaining in the slightest. It was rather wonkish. But it went so viral that National Review Online posted a bulletin that said, "This talk from Evan Sayet," and they linked to it. "This talk from Evan Sayet is cramming our inboxes. Please stop sending it." And so my first book was I took that original speech and I turned it into the book, The Kindergarten of Eden, How the Modern Liberal Thinks. I then expanded on it in my second book, which was called The Woke Supremacy, which points out that wokeism is actually a supremacist movement. Normally when we think about supremacist movements, we think about it in terms of race. But the reality is that history is chock full of supremacist movements that have nothing to do with race. Communism is a supremacist movement that's based on class. Tribalism is a supremacist movement that's based on blood. Islamism is a supremacist movement that's based on ideology. The definition of a supremacist movement is one that believes only certain people are entitled to the rights, privileges, and protections of society, while all others are to be denied these things, fully disempowered, silenced, and eventually canceled. And that's what wokeism believes, is that only the woke are entitled to freedom of speech. Only the woke are entitled to freedom of assembly. Only the woke are entitled to be protected in the streets. All others are to be denied these things. So the second book, The Woke Supremacy, makes the case that wokeism is a supremacist movement. Finally, this last book, my newest book, we need a revival in belief in God. All right. And this is not going to happen unless one thing changes. See, the vast majority of atheists today, and we are the most atheistic society in Western civilization's history.
Really?
And the vast majority of atheists today don't even rise to the level of atheist. They've simply never given God's existence any thought at all. And the reason is they've been told that God is not scientific. And they want to be scientific. We all want to be scientific. We want to be rational. We want to be factual. We want to be. But what they don't tell them is the only alternative to God, let's say not God, is also not scientific. If science is defined as materialism, that the answer has to come from within the materials and forces of our universe, within the four dimensions of height, width, depth, and time in which we can perceive, then any alternative to God is also not scientific. It's really simple. There are only two possibilities, given that the universe is here. Either it was always here, or it wasn't always here, right? It was or it wasn't. Those are the only two possibilities. If it was always here, then it's not scientific because it's outside of the dimension of time. If it wasn't always here, then it's not scientific because it would have had to have come from outside the materials, forces, and laws of our universe. So the only alternatives to God are also not scientific if we agree to use the limited and false definition of science, which is materialism. And we have to be able to convince the kids that God is exactly as scientific as not God. And now we've got these two let's say extra scientific theories. One of them is true. Which one? Well, here's how I answer that. I say, okay, I believe in an invisible man in the sky. However you want to caricature what I believe, I'll cop to that, okay? You can even say I'm an idiot, I'm brainwashed, whatever you as an atheist think of my belief in God. But tell me, enough about me. What do you believe? What is the scientific theory? You tell me you believe in science. What is the scientific theory that explains the origin of the universe? What is the scientific theory that explains how the cosmos went from the literal definition of chaos, the instant after the Big Bang, to literal precision? The cosmos, 1 in 80 million trillion parts, had to have fallen just that way for we to be alive today. And so at any rate, my book makes fun of them the way they say we believe in an invisible man in the sky when that's not actually. So my book is Magic Soup, which is what they believe about primordial ooze and how life came from the magic soup. It's Typing Monkeys, which is the infinite monkey theorem, which is how did the universe fine-tune itself? Well, if you put enough monkeys in a room for enough time with enough typewriters, eventually you'll get any outcome. And how did life begin on Earth? I swear to you guys, the latest, best, and in fact, only remaining theory is something called directed panspermia.
Yeah, I know.
That is, how many of you have heard of directed panspermia? Right? Okay, at least one, at least two. Directed panspermia is the theory that billions of years ago, aliens built a rocket ship, came to Earth, and planted the seeds of life in the Earth. And that's how life on Earth began. Aliens from outer space. Those are my horny aliens.
Oh, okay.
All right. And so I wrote this book for believers to give to their non-believing friends, not to convince them of any one religion in particular, but just to reintroduce God as a possibility so that they at least think about it for the very first time. Because I have an expression, the first time you think is the last time you're an atheist.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
So I don't know how many of you are in this room, but I'm going to be looking at sales. If they don't go up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I know who you are. All right. I know who you are.
Remember that long title.
Yeah, put a link in the comments down below, eh?
The atheist.
Will you put that
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
The atheist origin myth is the name of it.
But that's the short name.
Yeah, yeah.
We're all broke because we bought Josh's book for all of our relatives. Every one of our relatives.
Well, God bless you.
Indeed, I appreciate that because that's exactly I wrote it for, and in fact, one of the reviews I received from a best-selling author and actually a California Teacher of the Year was that believers often give their non-believing friends C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity. Now they will give them Evan Sayet's book as well. And so that accomplished exactly what I want to accomplish. I want believers to say, do me a favor, read this one book, because they're not going to read St. Thomas Aquinas. You know, they're not going to read any of these books that are just so earnest and difficult. My book is fun because of my history as a stand-up, my history as a television writer. I made it funny, I made it fun, but it is factual and persuasive.
There you go. So wait, let's talk a little bit about the Kindergarten of Eden, and kind of explain, I guess, not like the entire book, but like its premise, and then also, not that I want you to do your whole act, but just that one part.
But you can't do that one part because it's a whole bit, but I'll do my best.
All right, have a little bit more scotch.
Yeah, okay. What he's talking about, I don't need more scotch. They need more wine. Go get more wine. Right? It's the audience that has a 2-drink minimum.
That's true, not you.
Not
That's
the act.
true. Yeah.
The talk that I mentioned to the Heritage Foundation earlier, when it started to go viral, I would receive a ton of fan mail and some hate mail. But I would receive it, and people would periodically use this phrase. It was such an odd phrase that stuck out in my mind. They'd say, you know what you have there? You have the unified field theory of liberalism. Once you understand what I explained in that talk, you understand why good, smart, decent people will reject fact and reason and side only and always with evil, failure, and wrong. And I'll just give you 2 examples. How do you look at Ferguson, Missouri, and decide that a sweet and innocent young black man was gunned down in cold blood by an evil white racist cop, when in reality, Michael Brown was a career thug who had just recently strong-armed a local businessman who had punched the cop, Darren Wilson, in the face and tried to murder him with his own gun? How do you get it so wrong? How do you look at the Middle East and decide that the evil is that liberal democracy of Israel, with its gay pride parades, with its woman prime minister back in the 60s, and decide that they're the problem and not the homophobic, xenophobic, and I do believe even a little bit anti-Semitic Muslims? How do you get it so wrong? And so when I wrote the book based on that original speech, having heard the expression, the unified theory of, I wrote it as if it were a scientific law with 4 laws and 3 corollaries. I'm going to give you just the first 2 laws and you'll understand everything. I'm going to give it to you as written in the book, and then I'll explain. In the 1980s, by no coincidence, when the first babies born after World War II, who had become the children of the 60s, when they started to become the powers that be in academia and education, news and entertainment, in the 1980s, thinking was outlawed. And it was deemed by these people to be a hate crime. The thinking behind the outlawing of thinking is this: anything that you believe, anything that I believe, anything that anybody else believes is going to be so tainted by your personal prejudices that the only way not to be a bigot was to never think at all. Right? They were raised to believe that indiscriminateness is a moral imperative because its opposite is discrimination. Right, but now you would think, okay, if they're indiscriminate, sometimes they'd be right, sometimes they'd be wrong. Why is it they side only and always with evil, failure, and wrong? And that's the second law of the unified theory, which is that indiscriminateness of thought, this is how it's written in the book, indiscriminateness of thought does not lead to indiscriminateness of beliefs. Indiscriminateness of thought leads only and always to siding with evil over good, wrong over right, ugly over beautiful. Why? Because if nothing is better than anything else, if no culture, no religion, no form of governance, no familial construct, if nothing is better than anything else, then success is unjust. Why should a person, a nation, a culture, why should something succeed if it's not better than anything else? The flip side is failure, as proved by nothing other than the fact that it has failed, serves as proof positive that the failure has somehow been victimized. And then it's only by extension. If good and evil, if success and failure is proof positive of injustice, then great success and great failure is proof positive of a great injustice. And long and sustained success and failure is the greatest injustice of all. So why do they hate America? It's not because we're the most evil nation on the planet, by far. The reason they hate us is because we are the most successful nation on the planet. Why do they hate second most the Jews of Israel? It's not because the Jews of Israel are the most horrible people on the planet. It's because the Jews of Israel have been stunningly successful. The Palestinians have been amazingly failed. If you can't say it's because Judeo-Christianity is a better religion, philosophy, way of life, way of conducting business than is Islamism, if they have to be seen as equally good and equally right, the only explanation for Israel's success is that they are the oppressors, and the only explanation for the Palestinians' failures is that they've been oppressed. Right? So that's
how liberals think.
And that's why they get everything not just wrong, but as wrong can be, 180 degrees from right, because they have to side with whatever. There's a museum in New York called the Guggenheim where they have a banana that they tape to the wall with masking tape. Why? Because they're trying to prove to you that nothing is beautiful. Nothing. The answer to every.
Didn't someone paid millions of dollars?
No, he paid millions of dollars. And by the way, you don't even get the banana or the masking tape. You simply get a letter. Yeah, I'm serious. You get a certificate of authenticity, which it's not even authentic because you have to go to the store to buy the masking tape and the banana.
Oh
you wanted my stand-up act. This is hard to do because it builds and builds and builds, and we don't have time for it. But I'll try my best. And I haven't done this in a long, long time. I believe
you're not on the spot.
I believe that the modern liberal is the stupidest person to have ever lived.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't feel good about calling other people stupid.
I do.
But in fairness, you know what? They call us stupid. And I understand why they think we're stupid. It's because they're stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. I get a little laugh. I heard it. But now I have a problem. If the modern liberal is as stupid as I believe them to be, how do they keep reaching the tops of their professions? And whatever it is I think of Nancy Pelosi, the woman was recently the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. Whatever I think of Henry Gates, the man is a tenured professor at Harvard University. And whatever I think of Anderson Cooper, the man is an award-winning journalist on a national network. How is it, if they are as stupid as I think they are, they keep reaching the tops of their professions? And then it dawned on me, liberals enter only those professions where you don't ever actually do anything.
Oh, that's a good one.
But every profession we associate with liberalism, whether it's academia, whether it's journalism, whether it's entertainment, whether it's politics, it's all talk, but no action. And when you don't do anything, you don't need to know what you're talking about. So the liberal enters academia. Why? Because the academic doesn't do anything. It is so obvious that the academic doesn't do anything that the name of his profession, academia, has become a synonym for not doing anything. As in, it's all academic anyway. Let's go do something. The job of the academic, don't shake your head no. That's not the right response to a joke. It is so obvious the academic doesn't do anything that I actually screwed it up already. But the job of the academic is for somebody who doesn't do anything to lecture to children who don't do anything about the people who do things and did things and the things that they did and they do. The liberal flocks to journalism. Why? Because the journalist doesn't do anything. It is so obvious that the journalist doesn't do anything that you could remove their bodies and they would still be able to do their jobs, which is why they're known as talking heads. Right? The job of the journalist is for somebody who doesn't do anything to report to the people who do things. The things that the other people who do things were doing while they were out doing things. Why do you think the news was always on at 6 o'clock? Because that's when the people who do things came back from doing those things.
That's true.
Anybody laughing? You're not laughing. You're not laughing. You're not laughing. You're not laughing. You're laughing. All right. There you go. He's laughing.
See me
At
laughing.
any rate, you know what? It's available. Go to YouTube.
He actually has an Amazon Prime special where he does his stand-up routine, and it's pretty funny.
Oh, it's beyond funny. It's brilliant.
It is. He's a smart guy. Let's face it. I mean, he's an intellectual. That's why we get along so well. We play off each other pretty well.
Because opposites attract. And
well, we were up till 3:00 in the morning last night, just bullshitting, talking, and all that. It was a lot of fun.
So. Is he a Jew? Is he a Jew?
Huh?
Is he a Jew?
He's a Jew.
You're a Jew?
I'm a Jew.
Are you a bad Jew like Josh and eat barbecue pork all the time?
I eat pork.
Okay.
I'm not a good practicing Jew, but I'm getting there.
Well,
I'm getting there, trying harder. Trying harder. It's funny. I used to have a joke in the act back when I used to perform in the South. This guy would yell out, "You Jew?" And he was asking me, "Are you a Jew?"
Yeah.
I had my Southern to English dictionary with me. He was asking me, "Are you a Jew?" And he said to me, "The Antichrist is a Jew." And I said, "You can't believe that." I said, "According to you, if the Antichrist were Jewish, he would have had 666 marked down to 495.
Okay, that was good.
All right,
that was good.
It's still nothing. What's
Carol?
Carol's shaking her head. Just no.
What's the matter, Carol?
I'm a college professor, by the way. So you're running.
Oh, that's why. Hey, I'm a journalist, right? So hey, everybody can laugh.
And I didn't even get to the entertainment part. Let me think how this goes. You know why liberals flock to showbiz? Because in showbiz we don't do anything. The job of the actor is to pretend to be doing the things that the people who do things do.
Oh.
Right?
That's right.
Gosh.
Julie, you just joined us.
Oh, we'll start at the beginning.
Oh, Gail. Okay, what's up? You have your hand up.
I just know how to make him stop eating pork because somebody asked a cannibal one time in the islands of Fiji Islands or wherever, and he said, "What does pork taste like? What do humans taste like?" And he says, "It tastes like pork."
Oh, well, there you go. I don't know. I went out to a restaurant and I had rattlesnake. That was pretty.
Are you
good.
not allowed to as a Jew?
Huh?
You're allowed to have
rattlesnake.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm going to say rattlesnake is not kosher.
No.
No, it's definitely not kosher.
Okay.
I'm sure. What's that, Jason?
I said it doesn't have fins and scales.
No, but they brought this thing onto the plate and it had the like its spine basically as like proof that it was rattlesnake. And it was really gamey. It tasted
very
like
gamey. I tried it one time years ago and it was very gamey. Yes,
it's very gamey. Yeah.
So what do you teach at the university? Carol, what do you teach?
I teach medical coding and billing and, medical terminology.
Well, that's practical stuff.
Yeah, so you're actually doing things.
Yeah, you're actually doing things. You're helping people to actually do things. As opposed to gay feminist African literature.
Right.
Yeah.
Basket weaving or whatever. Yeah.
Okay,
I try, I try.
Hey, you know what? You're doing a good job.
How do you know that?
Huh?
How do you know she's doing a good job?
For years. She's been a supporter.
Okay, but you know what she does at work?
No, I haven't seen her at work.
Yeah, I mean,
but I'm assuming she does a good job.
I've seen them not.
Listen, we're all extremely close and we're all gun fanatics. So
I got you. So I'm the outsider here is what you're
we're all tight and we're all gun fanatics.
Yeah. They would all walk over broken glass.
I actually had a joke. All right, Carol, you didn't like my joke so far. What about this one? I've got a bit about maybe we can find middle ground with the Democrats. For example, on gun control. Here's what I propose. Anybody who wants to have a gun should be allowed to have a gun unless they have a significant psychiatric record, a criminal record, or a Barbara Streisand record.
Or Bette Midler.
Or Bette Midler. That's even worse. I
Bette
think.
Midler. I know that was from my old act
Or
Yeah.
Whoopi
from all
Goldberg.
those years ago.
Yeah.
I said, what about licenses for illegals? I think we can meet them halfway. Illegal if they're driving north, perfectly legal if they're heading south.
There you go.
All right.
Hey, you know what? You're doing good.
I'm doing fine.
You should
Getting
be trying-
better.
You're getting better at it. A couple more sips. You'll be
Oh,
good.
who are these people? How'd they get into my bedroom?
Oh man. So anyway, I told you all this would be a different show. And I told you that I'd have a friend with me that is a pretty brilliant guy. He's smart and he's done a lot. He's done a lot of different things. So what's the coolest thing that you've done recently?
Oh, recently. Well, it's pretty cool that I wrote a speech for the next president of the United States. I would put that pretty high on the list, right? Just being able to speak, especially, I don't know that you know this, but I've spoken to TPUSA. I've spoken at their events.
Okay.
You know what? Being there today was pretty cool. And it's funny because I know all of those people from the very beginning. I mean, Charlie Kirk, even before he got his first grant to start this, I've known Ben Shapiro since he was 14 years old because he was out in LA, and we actually, the San Fernando Valley Republicans Club, actually sponsored and paid for his college.
Wow.
Yeah, contributed significantly. I don't know if he paid the whole thing.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I've known him since he's 14. To run into, did I say Seb Gork? I do his radio show all the time.
I need to do Sebastian Gorka's show.
To run into Larry Elder. I mean, all the people that I've known right from the very beginning. When I made the change, not sex change.
Are you changing?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. No. But when I made the change and became, and by the way, I was never a leftist. I was a brain dead liberal.
Right.
I mean, I was a New York City born Jew in the entertainment industry. Of course, I voted Democrat. It's what Breitbart would call the default factory setting for somebody born into my demographics. Right, but here's what changed me. I call myself a 9/13 Republican. Right, 9/11 didn't surprise me. Obviously, I didn't know the date. I didn't know the target. The carnage sickened me. But even as a brain-dead liberal, I knew just enough about the world to know that the same people who were murdering the Jews of Israel for no other reason that they were the closest infidels, who were murdering Hindus in India for no other reason that they were the closest infidels, who were murdering atheists in Russia for no other reason that they were the closest infidels, would, when they could figure a way across those giant oceans, of course they would come to kill the big infidel, the great Satan. And what surprised me was the liberal response to the attacks. The idea that we deserved them, that it was the chickens coming home to roost, not wholly dissimilar to their response to the attacks on October 7th.
Yeah.
The same thing of taking, and I had to think, if this is what a liberal believes, then maybe I'm not a liberal. And just like I said earlier, the first time you think is the last time you're an atheist. Actually, I used to say the first time you think is the last time you're a Democrat.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense too. See, I've never been a Democrat ever. I mean, we weren't really just political. We were like apolitical. We didn't really talk politics, right? My mother, she didn't talk politics. My father, right, Jason? I mean,
No.
Gary, nobody talked politics. It wasn't like a big thing back then.
No,
Actually,
you guys,
when I came out here, that's when I changed.
No, you guys talk garbage hauling and,
Yeah, seltzer bottles, being delivered on Sundays,
Right.
and, walking to shul and temple, that's what it was all about. It wasn't really politics. When I moved to Arizona, that's when I got out of that New York City, New Jersey, Connecticut, tri-state area bubble, and I saw out west, wow, this is different, right? People actually think for themselves. People are nicer. People, are doing all these different things. And it's like, wow. I mean, I'm looking at the news people. The people in New York and New Jersey, when they do the news, they're in full suits. Maybe not so much anymore, but they always were when I was a kid. Here, they're wearing golf shirts and shorts. And I'm like, wow, this is like so laid back. So,
and then you go into a studio and you see they're not wearing pants, and it just changes you. It just changes you.
I hope they're wearing some kind of
that
pants.
being said, I know your names. I know Carol's name. Her name's Josh? No, I know
No, that's
Julie's name. I know Jason's name. I know your names, guys. If I don't see book sales, all
Well,
right.
y'all post it in the chat, your website.
I will.
Don't forget.
I will. I
Okay.
promise. I'll put it in the description for the video. So.
All right, guys. I really appreciate getting to know you guys. Thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Come back and see us.
Merry Christmas.
Happy
Yes.
Hanukkah, it's on the
Christmas to you,
26th.
sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Happy
Thank you.
Hanukkah.
Are you going to close it out?
Yeah, I'll close it out.
Okay.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Oh, he's gonna go
Adios.
have another smoke.
Yeah, he's gonna. That's exactly what he's doing. You gotta grab a smoke. Yeah, go for it. That's what you like to do. That's what you
Nasty
do.
habit.
I don't smoke.
Smoke him if you got him, roll him if you don't.
That's right. He smokes outside. It's cool. So,
Yeah.
but that's Evan Sayet. You should definitely watch his Heritage Foundation speech because you kind of got a glimpse of his intelligence. That speech at 47 minutes, your jaw is just like, whoa. Because he's smart to the point where sometimes he's over your head, and I understand that. Because even when I interviewed him today for Total News, a couple of things he said, I was just trying to like keep up with him. Like he's a pretty smart guy. So, but anyway, just something a little bit different. He's here staying with me for a couple of days, and I figured, what the hell, let him join. But Carol, you had your daggers out for him there for a bit. She was like, I'm a teacher, I'm a professor. That was funny though.
And she's a Southern gal.
And she's a Southern gal. Yes, absolutely.
Southern
And they
gal.
don't play around, them Southern gals.
No, they're
tough.
sometimes batshit crazy.
Yes, they can be. They can be, that's for sure. So, all right. Well, that's all I really had for tonight. We're just gonna, I just kind of winged it tonight. Like I said, I got back 15 minutes before I got in the air. I was busy all day, walking around, getting interviewed, doing interviews, meeting with people, collecting business cards. But one thing I will tell you about Evan, he's written a lot of books. They're all self-published. He doesn't have a publisher. I did. Anyway, but he's been showing me and teaching me different ways to market the books and different ways to sell the books and things like that. And he gave me some really good pointers last night and today. So I'm going to follow up on it and see what I can come up with. I also interviewed the gentleman from Chase, PA, Pennsylvania Chase, that helped win Pennsylvania with Scott Pressler. So I made a good contact with him. And then I made another contact with somebody that knows RFK Jr. really, really well, has been to their house and they've partied together and hung out. And she's an anti-autism advocate. So far I made a couple of interesting connections. So we'll see if anything comes from that. Right now I'm working on trying to find a publicist. Obviously I could use AJ, but AJ's, he's a little expensive. So I'm looking at some other people, because now that I'm on LinkedIn, I've got the opportunity to kind of reach out to some of these people and talking with a bunch of different people. So we'll see what happens. Probably hire someone. And then Marlene, we're going to have to start working together a little bit. And we're going to have to figure out, if you can do green screen and stuff and keying it out and doing what John was doing, not 7 days a week, but like 3 or 4 days a week, something like that. Probably 3. You could probably commit to what, 3? Huh? I can't hear you. You're muted.
Your thing is off.
Okay. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that we're recording.
Huh? You're thinking
We're
what?
still recording.
I can't hear what you're saying.
Still recording.
You're still recording.
Yeah, we never cut it.
Oh, you didn't cut it. All right. That's okay.
You never said to cut it, so I've been waiting.
That's all right.
To say, cut it.
You can go ahead and cut it. I'll do the outro real quick. Those are all my thoughts for this evening. Can't wait to hear all of yours. We'll see you next time. Go ahead and cut it.
Okay, awesome. Merry Christmas.
I had a drink or two. I'm not gonna lie. So, but